Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, very much. We can hear you.
First of all, I want to tell you a bit about Glasgow Cllege University. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, actually, Lorna, your voice is pretty low. Could you please just increase the volume?
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Very much. Very much. We can hear you very well.
Okay, good. I'll start.
Yep.
Okay. So, Glasgow Caledonian University is based in the city of Glasgow, which is the largest city in Scotland. You can see from the map where Glasgow is located in Scotland, and you can also see a map of our campus. The campus is self-contained and it's in the city centre, and you can see from the campus map at the back is where our accommodation is located. So everything is basically next to each other. If you don't know much about the city of Glasgow, this might help. It's a top 10 city of the world. It was voted the safest city in the UK, so any students who are worried about coming to a new country for the first time, they can rest easy because it is a lovely city, very friendly, a large student population, lots of shopping, and the countryside is only 1 hour from the city. Here are some images of Scotland. You can get an idea of what it's like. As I mentioned, we have a mixture of countryside, city centre shopping, all within an hour from the city. The university itself has won awards for international student support. Later on in the presentation you can speak to some of our students who are studying here at the moment from Pune. They can tell you about some of the services that are offered in the university for international students. This can be visa advice, it can be social events. They can tell you about that.
Miss Lorna, can I really just request you to be louder? I'm extremely sorry, but we are able to hear pretty low.
Okay, I'll try and be louder.
Yeah, now this was much better.
The campus, as I mentioned. Okay, right. As I mentioned, the campus is self-contained. It's not like a traditional university campus. You don't have to run from building to building. You can get from class to class within minutes. You can get from your accommodation to class within minutes. We have a large international student population across 100 nationalities. So there is a good mix of students on campus, not one nationality in particular that stands out. Some of the facilities we have you can't get at other universities and other campuses. We have 24-hour computer access for students in the Students' Association building. Students can access Wi-Fi whenever they want. They don't need a code. It's all very easy. We have good internet connection in every building. We also have guaranteed campus accommodation for international students. So that is the accommodation located behind the campus, less than 5-minute walk to class. I'm just going to show you some photos now of the campus and the facilities we have. These are some of our international students. This is the city centre campus, the library on the right-hand side. As I mentioned, it's very spacious, self-contained. This is the centre of our campus here, minutes from the city centre. That is the library. And this is inside the library. We have 4 levels. We have group study spaces, we have self-study, silent study. Here's an example of the group study area on the right and one of the group working areas on the left. Students have access to free laptop hire on a weekly basis. They can take this to the library with them or take it around campus or use it in one of the group study spaces. And this is another group study area. The gym and sports centre is located, as I said, on campus right next to every building, very easily accessible. It's cost effective as well. It can cost £17 a month if a student wants to pay monthly, and they can have access to all of the facilities and the classes. We also have a bank on which is very useful. It is located across from the International Student Support Services Department, so students can easily get cash when they want. They can also open a bank account in this branch. This is a picture of the lab facilities we have in the School of Health and Life Sciences. And this is actually a picture of one of our students from Pune in the labs. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of different events going on in the university, and this event was actually organised by our students from Pune. You can see a picture of them here. Also, we know that it's important to celebrate different festivals that you would normally celebrate at home in Glasgow, and you can do that in Glasgow. There are lots of opportunities to do that. We actually have a faith and belief centre on campus, and these pictures you can see now are our students from Pune celebrating Holi in Glasgow. As I also said, we organise traditional events to welcome our students to the campus. So if you joined us in September, the first week you would attend a Cllege celebration, which is a Scottish dance, and you can see a photo here. It's a good way to meet other international students on your programme and to get to know more about Scotland. Okay. How to register with a GP, how to open a bank account, anything that you need. We have a dedicated team of international student support advisors who can help you with this. They also arrange a welcome programme, regular international student coffee evenings. They arrange social activities around Glasgow, trips to the capital city, for example. And so they are here, and we have won awards for this service on campus, so you can be assured that anything you need you can get from this team. Accommodation is something you will be thinking about. It's very important. You want to know where you will live when you come to Glasgow. Because we're located in the centre of Glasgow, there are lots of accommodation options. But if you want guaranteed accommodation for September, we can offer you our university accommodation. Here are the prices on the screen. A standard room from £86 per week, an ensuite from £102 per week. This offers you 24-hour security, a shared kitchen, all of your bills are included. We also have other private options in Glasgow. I've chosen to show you this one in particular, as it is located less than 5 minutes from campus. It has a supermarket underneath it. It is next to the bus station, across from the cinema, so very close to our campus. The prices are slightly higher, from £139 per week, including bills. We also have a free on-site gym in this accommodation and a cinema room. I'm going to explain the tuition fees to you for your time spent in Glasgow. So you would spend the first trimester in Pune and the final 2 in Glasgow. The fees for those 2 trimesters would be £7,667, but we are offering a 10% scholarship from DES, which brings it down to £6,900. Now, if you have scored highly in your BSc, you will also you'll have potential for further scholarship, and you can see that from the screen if you look at the grid. So depending on the scores you get from your BSc, you will be entitled to further scholarships. So the final tuition price you can see in the last column. living costs in Glasgow, you're probably wondering how expensive it is to live here. It's actually one of the cheaper cities in the UK. You would need approximately £500 per month. That is what we would recommend, but that depends on the individual. You may spend less than that. You may not want to go to the cinema every week or go out to a restaurant for food every week. You could save money that way. So you can see the expenditure on the screen. It is the least expensive place in Scotland to study. We have lots of international students here. So you can always find lots of special offers for meals, for cinema tickets, for shopping. You can get that as a student in Glasgow. Another thing to note is in Scotland, it is a cheaper option than studying in England. Our healthcare and prescriptions in Scotland are free. If you need an appointment to have your eyes tested, it's free. If you need to go to the doctors, which can be arranged through International Student Support Services, that is also free. It costs you from £1.20. So as you can see, it is very cheap, especially if you compare it to London, for example. We do have someone who's based in Bangalore who can assist you with this, so you can reach her by email and I will give you her details shortly. But these are the visa required UK BA. So you need 40 points in total as you pass and 10 financial. Okay. There are lots of things you have to think about when it comes to visas. It is best to sit down and discuss this with someone, which is why I will give you Supriya's contact details and she can advise you. For your visa, you have to show that you can afford £800 per month living. Of course, as I've mentioned, in Scotland, the living costs are much lower, but this is what the UKBA require. Doesn't mean that you will spend this, you won't. Okay? So in October this year, if you are still interested in coming to study with us in Scotland, my colleague will give you a presentation on the visa process and she will be able to advise you on how you apply. Okay? The visa applications and appointments can be accessed online. I have put 2 websites here for your information and I've also included information on the fees for visas. You will also have to go through TB screening now. That is a requirement of the UKBA. But as I said, Supriya can advise you on that. And here is her contact information. She is our regional manager for India and she is based in Bangalore. supriya.rao@gcu.ac.uk. I can also be reached, but I am UK based. This is my email address, lorna.campbell@gcu.ac.uk. That is all. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation and I welcome any questions that you may have now. Hello.
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 Abhijit,
Hi.
do you have
Yes,
any
Samir.
questions?
Yes, it is a career option, right career option.
Sorry?
Is it right career option?
Can you type your question if possible?
Ma'am, is it right career option and what is it is content scope? How much content is it scope?
Okay, Lorna, probably Abhijit instead of Lorna, maybe the other person who is on this particular presentation will really be able to answer this question more appropriately. Okay, I'll ask
Can
this
you
particular
repeat the
question on, yeah, the question was, he was really asking, in a 1 year there is too much content that really need to be covered. So how this will really be a great career option? That was the question he was really asking, and probably that really going towards the academic side, I would assume Miss Su Lang would really be able to cover her part of the presentation and will really be able to answer.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yep.
Also, so hello.
Abhijit, there will be a quick Abhijit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So how much package did I get?
Just wait. Okay. There will be another presentation, technical part or academic presentation, and from that point of view, this question will be answered. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hi,
Miss.
Samia. Are you able to see me?
Yes, very much. I have already made you a presenter, so definitely you can take up your part of the presentation. Not a problem.
Can you see my presentation now?
Now you really can make your presentation available using show my screen. Yeah,
You can see that?
very much, very much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'd just like to try and answer the question that one of the attendees made.
Yes,
He said that he thought perhaps there was a lot of content to be covered within a year.
correct.
We do try and balance very carefully how much we expect the students to be able to achieve, and we are very careful about when we place assessments, so we're always making sure that the students aren't overbalanced. In practice, this seems to work quite well. I think perhaps it would be good, we have some students with us and they could answer this question at the end and say how they have found the programme, as they are now literally finishing the first run of this programme. So that might be a good question to ask them at the end. Would you like me to go on with the presentation now?
I think Ms. Su, you really can continue with respect to this part of the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks to those of you who've taken the time to join this. Over the next few minutes, I'd like to just give you a bit more background, some more detailed information with regards to the two programs. That's the MSc in Clinical Microbiology and the MSc Food Bioscience that we're offering jointly with India at Ferguson College and between ourselves here at Glasgow Caledonian University. First of all, within the university, just to let you know which school we belong to, we're in the School of Health and Life Sciences. Now, this is a very diverse school. We have a whole range of areas that are covered, ranging from biological, the biomedical sciences. This is very much at the molecular level, if you like, right through to areas which are much more applied, like nursing and midwifery. We are very strong in terms of research. In the last UK-based evaluation of research within higher education institutes, we were actually rated within Scotland and the top for allied health, and within UK as a whole within the top 10. And of the research that we've published or presented worldwide, 75–77% of that within the biomedical and the vision sciences has been rated as internationally recognized. So we think of ourselves as a university that not only is engaged in teaching, but also has a very good track record in research at a global level, if you like. Specifically within the school, we belong to the Department of Life Sciences, that is the biological, biomedical and vision sciences, and currently we run 19 programs of study for students to access. These include undergraduate programs, but also the postgraduate programs, including the masters which you're interested in. These include things from clinical microbiology and food, but also pharmacology, dietetics, for example. Within the department, most of our staff are actually research active. So again, areas of research include microbiology, cell and molecular biology, pharmacology, food sciences. And as a result of our high level of research activity, we also have 2 spin-out companies. These are companies that have been developed by members of staff through their research activities. So for example, we have groups that are involved in both drug delivery and drug discovery programs. Looking specifically at the programs which we're talking about today, the MSc in Clinical Microbiology and Food Biosciences, as you've already heard in the previous presentation, this program starts at Ferguson College in Pune. The students start their studies in around July or August each year, and they complete there in about December time, coming to GCU in January if they wish to do so. And they would then complete their studies over the summer, graduating in the November. So if they wish, leave with a postgraduate certificate from Pune or come to Scotland for an MSc. Now the aims of both of our programs, all of our MSc programs, is to take very much a scientific approach to the discipline. So we're teaching very much about the scientific level, but there is also great emphasis in the research and development of those subject areas. So we're trying to teach you the latest cutting-edge techniques and the cutting-edge theory that is believed to be relevant to those subject areas. So as a result of this, our students are exposed not only to the latest advances at a theoretical level through, for example, lectures, but in practice. So in practical classes, we're applying molecular techniques, for example, such as real-time PCR and gene analysis. So specifically looking at the clinical microbiology program for a start, students who are based in India would take modules which cover food, microbial food safety and medical microbiology. So they're looking at the microbiology of food and the diagnosis of infectious disease. They also cover a module called biomolecular studies. This is very much molecular biology. It's the basics of DNA, genetics, proteins, for example. The students also take what's called a Skills for Professional Practice module. We believe very much that we're not only wanting to turn out students who are academically very strong in their chosen field, but we want to make sure that they're also very employable or in a good position to take their studies further afterwards. So we teach them other skills as well, such as things like IT skills and communication skills. And these would be covered in this module. So those 4 modules would be studied in Pune between August and December. When the students arrive in January, the modules then take a different aspect. So for example, microbial pathogenicity looks very much at how individual organisms such as bacteria and viruses cause disease. They study applied molecular microbiology, which is the genetics of how those organisms cause disease. And then case studies in infectious disease looks at the population level and the global level of disease and the burden it has on those populations. And then we also continue with our practical skills to increase employability in our students. And then finally, over the summer, the students are currently just finishing their research project, but they undertake over a period of 7 to 8 weeks a project. This initially starts with a literature review, and then for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, the students are working full-time pretty much within the lab, undertaking their own research project. The second offering is Food Bioscience, again starting in India in August. The students will cover modules which are also in common with the clinical microbiology students, and these include microbial food safety, biomolecular studies, and skills for professional practice. But these students also take the module post-harvest food storage instead of the clinical microbiology, the medical microbiology module, which I've already discussed with you. So they have a number of modules in common, but they're also starting to go along a very specific route for food bioscience. On arriving at GCU, the modules that they take look at the analysis of food, food science, and also a microbiology module which is looking at food and applied microbiology. Again, they do the skills for professional practice, and then over the summer they take some more taught modules which include food commodities and food toxicology, but they also take their research project in food bioscience, and again completing their studies at the end of the summer in September and graduating in November. What you might find a little bit different to what you're used to is when you arrive in GCU, we tend to teach our students in a slightly different way to perhaps you've been used to in your own country. So we still have lectures, I'm sure you're all familiar with those, but to support our lectures we have what's called a virtual learning environment. This is essentially, think of it as a website which is dedicated just to your program of study. This website can be used for your lecturers, your tutors to upload teaching materials, and they can also use it for what's called formative assessment. It's where the students are able to practice exam questions, test their own knowledge, if you like, as they're going along. We also teach in small groups, so we have lots of tutorial sessions, but something that is different is we tend to put the emphasis for learning onto the students. So instead of just being taught information and given information, we encourage the students to actually engage in learning a little bit more themselves. You've already seen in the previous presentation our library, and you can see here as well in the picture at the bottom that there are students engaged in their own learning on an individual basis. So once you've finished a lecture, you would then go away and enhance your learning, if you like, on an individual basis. You're all, I'm sure, familiar with exams, but in addition to exams, we also have what's called formative assessment. This is where students are given practice exercises, if you like, so they can engage in their own assessment, but this isn't marked by tutors. One of both of these programs is the practical skills that students are taught. This starts in Pune with both the Skills 1, where there are basic lab skills taught, also with BMS, where the students are engaged in molecular biology. The top photograph here shows Professor Kraft, who visited the students in Pune last November and was engaged in teaching molecular biology whilst he was there. And the students also, whilst in Pune, start the medical microbiology module, which is engaged in the diagnosis of infectious disease. And this is continued once the students arrive in Glasgow, and practical classes maintain a theme throughout the time here in Glasgow. And in the bottom picture you can see the students in one of the practical labs. So just to cover which modules have practical skills, as I've just mentioned, Skills 1, which is based in Pune, introduces basic technical skills. Biomolecular Studies, again in India, is introducing students to advanced molecular biology techniques, and also medical microbiology introduces diagnostic techniques. Once the students arrive in Glasgow, the module Applied Molecular Microbiology takes a genetics approach in the practical labs, and also the food microbiology module that is taught to the MSc Food Bioscience students also has associated practical classes with it, but I haven't listed it here. And finally, this research theme is continued, this practical skills theme is continued in the research project. Here you can see a group of past students on one of our MSc projects, programs undertaking their project. And in this, the students are able to investigate a research question, but they're undertaking the hands-on lab techniques, if you like, but they're also analysing and interpreting this information, the data they obtain, on an individual basis. So all the practical classes at our master's level, the students are working alone, they're generating their own data, and then they're interpreting that. So what we're trying to do is develop an extensive range of technical skills which are appropriate to the field in which the students are working. So finally, just to complete this presentation, I have some pictures here from the current MSc Clinical Microbiology research program to give you the type, an idea of the type of investigations the students undertake. Here you can see Vipul at the top and Tanvi below, and they're working on a project whereby they're investigating staphylococcal isolates. They're looking to see which toxins the staphylococci produce, and these are individual, they all have their own strain, different toxins, and they're challenging the organisms with antibiotics, which are a concentration unable to kill the organisms, but they're looking to see what impact this has on toxin production. And this is investigated at the gene level, but also at the protein level. And these students are just in the process of completing their projects and about to start writing up. Both Vipul and Tanvi are here and can answer any questions at the end if you have anything to ask them. So in terms of employability, this is very important to everybody. There are obviously direct links with healthcare sector from the clinical microbiology point of view and food and agricultural industry from the food bioscience, but there are also other opportunities available. Within the life sciences generally, there is always opportunities for research and development. Perhaps students want to be involved a little bit more at the sales and marketing level, technical support, or getting a product actually registered for the market. From a business point of view, students can go into looking at patent law or business development, and also there is the opportunity for perhaps going into the direction of science communication, maybe writing about science, being involved in technical or scientific editing. And a lot of our students tend to take their studies higher. They would go on to undertake perhaps PhD work, so they're taking doctoral studies, and they're aiming here to maybe go on to lectureships or continue in research within industry. So I'd just like to thank you for joining this webinar today. If you would like any further information, you can contact either myself, Sue Lang, at the email address shown, sue.lang@gcu.ac.uk, and I'll be able to answer any questions that are specifically relevant to the MSc Clinical Microbiology. But if you would like to answer specific questions for the MSc Food Bioscience, Professor Kofi Adu is also available, and I've listed his email address there. Professor Adu is also available today, so if you have any questions for him, please do ask after the webinar. So thanks once again for listening, and if you've got any questions, either Lorna, myself or Kofi, or indeed the students are here to answer those for you now.
Oh, great. Thanks, Dr. Lang, for making this particular presentation and making us understand the whole scope of this, both the courses.
I would like to ask a question to Lorna. I just wanted to know, I heard that there are few education loan is allowed. So where can I get that information?
There are a few what, sorry? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, there are, I'm planning to take education loan. If I want to pursue my study out, then I'm planning to take education loan. So I have heard that there are few banks which, I mean, if I take education loan from a particular bank, that is allowed, and some banks, they are blacklisted. So I just wanted to know, is there any website or something where I can get this information so that I can plan my loan?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Tanvi. So
Okay.
you're asking about the education loan. So the banks in India which currently the UKBA accepts are the nationalized bank or the government of India accepted banks. So those would be the State Bank of India, or Maharashtra Bank, or any of these banks which are nationalized.
Okay, so their education loan is accepted. So I won't have any problem for my visa if I accept loan from these banks.
Yeah, so if you are interested in finding out the information for that, just go to the UKBA website and just search on there. You can just get a list of around 60 to 80 banks are only currently being accepted by the UKBA for the loans, and even for the savings and other purposes as well, I guess. You can just check it on the UKBA website.
Okay.
Or you can even ask Priya Rao. Lorna just mentioned about her colleague being based in Bangalore. So you can just
So I can email her about this.
Yeah, Yash.
Okay. And it's hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Just
You're a
go on.
student, right?
Yeah.
You're a student, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I also wanted to ask you, how's your experience at Glasgow?
I mean, the city is really wonderful, and the university as well is very nice. We have had a very wonderful experience learning over here, the experience in terms of teaching and in terms of practical lab experience as well.
So you are happy with the course as
Yeah,
such?
very much, very much.
And another thing I wanted to know, if I decide to do this course in collaboration, that is your institute at Pune, so how do you find that? You have had your education at Pune also and at Glasgow also. So can you just give me some comment about that? What was your experience at both ends?
The experience in Pune Ferguson College were also wonderful. The Ferguson College also arranged for some of the very good teachers over there. The faculty over there was also very good, and the syllabus taught in Ferguson was similar. I mean, the technique of teaching was very much similar to what it is at GCU, so there was not much of a difference, and everything was covered. I mean, syllabus was covered entirely, and it was very nice.
Okay. And the counselor, she also told me that GCU professor, they come down and Pune and they teach us. So is that true? They also came down when
Yeah,
you were
Dr. Sue Lang, who just gave her presentation, and Dr. John Kraft, two of them had come down in November to teach us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. With respect to visa formality, I have a question.
Just a minute.
How much time
What's
does
that?
it take?
Can you repeat the question? It was very quiet.
Yes. With respect to the visa formality, how much time does it take to obtain the visa?
It usually takes around 1 week. It can sometimes be a bit longer depending on when you apply, but generally 1 week.
Oh, great. And are there any specific
Does that answer your question?
requirements where we definitely ensure that all those
Sorry?
particular
Can you-
parameters will be met?
For all of the details you need to apply, we would suggest that you refer to the UKBA website, or preferably contact Supriya Rao. Her email address was on the previous presentation because she is based in India and is used to assisting students with their visa application in India. So she has gone through the process before and she knows what to expect. So she is the best person to speak to before you apply. Do you have her email address?
Yes.
Okay,
We
good.
can, because the council will provide that.
Sorry?
The counselor here definitely provided that.
Yes, the email ID will be available, but her email address, if you want, I can type it to you, or
Thanks.
you can refer to the slides.
Yes, I will refer to this slide.
Okay, good.
I'm interested in your MSc Food Bioscience course, and in India we have something called as Food Technology course. So I just wanted to know if it is the same thing or your course is different from the Food Technology course.
Yeah, with respect to food bioscience, we concentrate on food science and not food technology. There is a big difference between the two. We look more into the sciences, into how food is prepared, manufactured, stored, and so forth. We don't go into the actual technology that would require the use of pilot plants and the rest. So we don't do that.
So there is not a single module or a paper regarding food technology during the entire course?
We have a module called Food Commodities. That module looks at all the different commodities like cereals, fish, meat, dairy, and so forth. And we do go into production. We look at production. We look at how processing could affect the nutritional value and so forth. But if you talk of food technology, you're talking more into how the food is manufactured on a larger scale, which is something that is on a different level. We don't actually do that. But the food bioscience would give you an opportunity to maybe look into the manufacture as well if you so wish. So the only module which is closer to the food technology is the food commodities. We also offer another module in product development, which is, if you like, a quasi, but that's the closest that we come to food technology. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So maybe check.
Hello.
Abhijit, do you have any question?
Yes, sir. After completing the MSc Food Bioscience, which type of job I get?
Okay, I don't know who would really be able to answer this question, but one of the participants, Mr. Abhijit, does have a question. After completing this course, what kind of job profile one can get? Say, supposedly, in case of clinical microbiology, what kind of a job profile a candidate really should expect?
I think I can probably answer that one. You really could address any aspect in the life sciences relating to infectious disease. So it may be that a very hands-on approach would be involved with large pharmaceutical companies and research and development of products, researching for new antimicrobials, that type of thing. Or it may be that the student goes on to stay in higher education and complete doctoral studies as part of their PhD, which would mean they'd have a very in-depth knowledge of infectious disease afterwards. That's the very hands-on approach, if you like, to the subject area. But equally, they may go into the large pharmaceutical companies and be involved in perhaps sales, marketing, taking a product which has been produced, for example, such as an antibiotic, to the actual sales market, if you like, taking it into the hospitals. And then from a different point of view, students may not wish to remain hands-on. They may want to be involved in communicating science, journalism, media, that type of thing. So I think really any aspect of the biosciences is applicable for students who've studied the MSc Clinical Microbiology, and it may even be that medics who are practicing want to specialize in infectious disease, and they would see this as a degree where they would be able to look in depth at a specific medical area to then be able to go back home to their own countries and be able to be much more informed, if you like, within that area. So it's really a very broad area depending on which direction the student would like to go. Does that answer the question a little bit?
Thanks. Yes, I think definitely it really does answer.
Right. Could I maybe interject? Could I come in here with respect to the food programs? Just to say that, similar to what Sue has already said, most of our students who do the program do eventually end up in food industry or food-related industries. There is also a strong demand for instance, marketing with respect to food and nutrients in foods and what they do and the rest. So we find that there's a pretty high demand for highly trained graduates in food bioscience.
Great. One last question probably I do have is, the students typically with respect to in both the stream, what kind of typical internship projects they really do when they really are out over there at GCU?
Okay, perhaps again I could answer that. When you've reminded me by saying internships, after a student has completed their studies, to date we've always had a number of internships available at the end of the MSc. This isn't guaranteed for every student, they're very competitive, but all students are able to apply for these. For example, this year we had, I think, in the region of 11 internships available from the university. These don't pay the students a wage, but they do pay a small stipend to help the students. Okay, so they're not paid as such, but there is some money available to help. And these internships, they take place over a period of 3 months. And the student, the successful student on the internship, would join one of the research active groups within the department. So they may be working in microbiology, food sciences, for example. And the way the student apply for these is we view it very much as still part of their education. So the internships are advertised, the students apply for these in writing, they prepare their CV, then interviews are held. These interviews have 2 or 3 panel members, so it's very much practice, if you like, for future interviews that the students may have to take. And we also give feedback. The career service is involved, the human resources department is involved, and also the department. And those students who are successful then, as I say, take an internship of 3 months over the summer period. So we currently have students who are on internships working within the laboratory. And quite often these students then go on to secure postdoctoral positions and undertake their PhD studies both here at Glasgow Caledonian University, but also they go on to other places, local institutes within Glasgow or further afield within the UK.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Abhijit.
Yes, sir. One question.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. After completing this food bioscience, how much salary I have get per month?
Mr. Abhijit, your voice is really mingling down. Could you please just be louder, come close to the mic?
So, I have, after complete this food bioscience course, how much salary I have get per month?
मराठीत प्रश्न विचाराल का?
सर, समजा मी आता हा कोर्स पूर्ण केल्यानंतर मला महिन्याला किती पगार मिळू शकतो असं USA मध्ये ह्या देशात?
Okay. Yeah, we can really definitely ask. Okay, here this particular question which is really coming up post completing this particular question, what kind of salary one can expect while they do go out in the industry to work?
Well, I can say that it depends on where or which country the individual is going to work in. I did mention earlier that there's a high demand for graduates in food bioscience. If you happen to work in the food industry, the salary would range from X to Y. It's quite difficult to be able to put a figure on it, but at least I know in the UK, you're talking of starting.
Okay.
Around 23,000 you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any other question? I think probably we really have covered a lot. Thanks everyone for attending this particular session. Definitely we really do value your time. And once again we really do thanks to all of those particular participants, and we will really do get back to you with any other questions you really do have with all those particular answers. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.